Hey everyone, this is Brittany from House of Sage and Lavender, and today I am doing a quick video on llamas. First, I'd like to say that I apologize for the lack of uploads lately. We have had someone staying with us, and therefore I have not been able to get into my office to record. So we are actually in my room, and I covered up my pink walls, so hopefully that'll be a little bit better. And so let's get started. The festival Sabbath of Llamas, also known as Lugastad, which falls on August 1st or 2nd. It is now high summer, and the union of sun and earth, of God and goddess, has produced the first harvest. Lammas is a celebration of this first grain harvest, a time for gathering in and giving thanks for abundance. We work with the cycle that Mabon, or autumn equinox, is the second harvest of fruit, and Samhain is the third and final harvest of nuts and berries. The word Lammas is derived from loafmas and is indicative of how central and honored is the first grain and the first loaf of the harvesting cycle. Lu, which is L-U-G-H, it is also the great festival of Lu, or Lug, the great Celtic sun king and god of light. August is his sacred month, when he initiated great festivities in honor of his mother, Tautui. Feasting, market fairs, games, bonfire celebrations were the order of the day. Circle dancing, reflecting the movement of the sun and sympathetic magic, was popular, as were all community gatherings. August was considered an auspicious month for hand fastings and weddings. But underlying this is the knowledge that the bounty and energy of Lu, of the sun, is now beginning to wane. It is a time of change and shift. Active growth is slowing down, and the darker days of winter and reflection are beckoning. The Grain Mother. At Lammas, the goddess is in her aspect as Grain Mother, Harvest Queen, Earth Mother, Ceres, and Demeter. Demeter, as Corn Mother, represents the ripe corn of this year's harvest, and her daughter Kor, or Persephone, represents the grain, the seed, which drops back deep into the dark earth, hidden throughout the winter, and reappears in the spring as new growth. This is the deep core meaning of Lammas and comes in different guises. The fullness and fulfillment of the present harvest already holds in its very heart the seed of all future harvests. It is a fact that a pregnant woman carrying her as yet unborn daughter is also already carrying the ovary containing all the eggs her daughter will ever release. She is already both mother, grandmother, and beyond, embodying the great mother line, pure magic and mystery. So as the grain harvest is gathered in, there is food to feed the community through the winter, and within that harvest is the seed of next year's rebirth, regeneration, and harvest. The Grain Mother is ripe and full. Heavily pregnant, she carries the seed of the New Year's sun god within her. There is tension here, for the sun god, the god of the harvest, the green man, or John Barleycorn, surrenders his life with the cutting of the corn. John Barleycorn, the sun god Lu, Lu, as John Barleycorn, is the living spirit of the corn, or grain. As the corn is cut, so John Barleycorn is cut down also. He surrenders his life so that others may be sustained by the grain, so that the life of the community can continue. He is both eaten as the bread and is then reborn as the seed returns to the earth. The first seed of corn is supremely important, produces the first and best seed, and assurance of future harvest, death and rebirth. Everything dies in its season. Everything is reborn. This is our whisper of immortality and the wonderful bittersweet of Lammas. Customs of cutting the grain. There are many customs throughout Europe around the cutting of the grain or corn, and they apply to all cereal crops, including wheat, barley, rye, and oats. Both the cutting of the first grain and the last grain are significant. The first sheaf would often be ceremonial cut at dawn, winnowed, ground, and baked into the harvest bread, which was then shared by the community in thanks. The first barley stalks would be made into the first beer of the season. The first sheath guarantees the seed and thus continuity. The last sheath was also ceremonially cut, often made into a corn dolly, carried to the village with festivity, and was central to the harvest supper. The corn dolly was made into a corn maiden after a good harvest, or a calate, hag, or crone after a bad harvest. She could be dressed with ribbons and even clothed. This last sheath would live in the home, often above the fireplace or hearth of the home, until the next harvest, or it might be placed in the branches of a tree or mixed with the seeds for the next year's sowing. In some ways, it eventually needed to return to the earth from whence it came, so that the fertilizing spirit of John Barleycorn, or the harvest god, could pass from harvest to harvest. It could be plowed back, returned to decay and rot, or burnt and the ashes scattered. In some parts of Europe, the tradition was to put the last sheaf into a large corn mother with a smaller baby inside it, representing the harvest to come the following year. Once the harvest was completed, safely gathered in, the festivities would begin. Bread was made from the new grain, and thanks given to the sun's life-giving energy reborn as life-giving bread. Herbs and plants of Lammas. All grains, wheat, barley, oats, rye, all representing both fulfillment and potential. Meadowsweet, also known as the Queen of the Meadow, Bridewort, and Bride of the Meadow, one of the most sacred herbs of the Druids. This was often worn as a garland for a Lammas celebration and was a traditional herb for wedding circlets and bouquets at this time of year. Also used for love spells and can be strewn to promote peace and its heady scent cheers the heart. Mint. Mint is another of the three most revered herbs of the Druids, vervain being the third according to Grieve. Its magical properties are both protection and healing, and at this stage of the year, its properties of drawing abundance and prosperity are most appropriate. Sunflower. We take sunflowers for granted. They are perfectly named and led by children of all ages. By this stage in the year, the flower heads are full and heavy with that wonderful spiral of seeds, and they spend the whole day gently turning their heads to gaze at the sun. In the Aztec temples of the sun, priestesses carried sunflowers and wore them as crowns. They symbolize the fertility of the solar logos. Calendula, which I believe that is chrysanthemums? No, marigolds. Little suns, pure joy in all their shades from deep orange to pale yellow. Colors of Lammas, still green with every shade of sun in harvest, from golden yellow to deepest orange. The Lammas altar, wheat and all grains, corn dolly, bread, sunflowers, candelas, which is pot marigolds. Some other correspondences, some I probably already said. Herbs and flowers, we have frankincense, heather, wheat, acacia, A-C-A-C-I-A, I don't know how to pronounce that. Myrtle, goldenrod, peony, Queen Anne's lace, vervain, basil, mint, aloe, mugwort, hops, comfrey, blackthorn, and elder. Stones include aventurine, citrine, clear quartz, peridot, amber, cat's eye, carnelian, gold topaz, lodestone, and rhydum crotosite. Food, we have blueberry pies and yeast cakes, berries and apples, bread, corn, beer, grapes, wine, pears, raspberry, blackcurrant, barbecue meats or fried chicken. Some symbols include corn dollies, wheat, bread, threshing tools like scythe and sickles, cauldron, herbs, corn, cornucopia. Some of the deities are John Barleycorn, Log, Demeter, Ceres, Corn Mother, Alpheto, Anat, Hathor, Ishtar, Isis, Odin, Osiris. Colors are yellow, orange, gold, green, and tan. Some things to do. A Lammas charm for gathering in abundance. You will need a A broom or besom. Don't worry if it isn't a traditional besom. Any broom will do, as it is always intent that it is important. If you have no broom, collect a bundle of twigs and tie them at the top of llamas ribbon to make a hand broom shape. The besom broom is a potent symbol of hearth and home, found in some form in almost every household. It is a traditional magical tool useful for everyday charms, as it has the imprint of its owner firmly on it. Sweeping is a natural gathering gesture. Ribbon. A piece of green ribbon for abundance, a piece of gold ribbon for prosperity and gathering, or a ribbon in Lammas harvest colors would be equally suitable. A sprig of mint. Ideally, a sprig of mint from your garden, but you can get this from any supermarket, or dried mint, put it in a pouch. The mint represents abundance and plenty and is easily accessible to the urban hedge. Take your broom and tie your ribbons around the stave or top. Tie in your sprig of mint or securely fasten your pouch. Take your broom outside, place both hands on the stave, and focus on your attention. Gathering in your harvest for winter, turn slowly 3 times in a clockwise direction, then start to sweep towards your door, saying, by 1, 2, 3, and 4, sweep Lammas gifts to my door. May abundance be a constant friend by my hearth till winter's end. Repeat this 3 times, and take your besom broom back into your house and put it in its usual place. You can leave the ribbon on for as long as you want to, for a lunar month, or until winter is done. If you have made your own broom, you can place it where you consider the heart of your home to be. The mint can be returned to the earth with thanks. If you do not have an outside space, you can sweep from your front door inwards to either your kitchen or hearth using the same charm. Make a grain mother. Make your own grain mother or corn dolly. Go for a walk and see what you can find. Stalks of wheat, oat, barley, rye, often left growing on the edges of field or harvesting, filling that, any grasses or weeds you can find. Obviously, this is not practical for a lot of people, so sourcing corn husks from a local store should be sufficient enough. Let your creativity out. If you feel confident, weave your grain mother into being. But equally, you can just lace and tie her into being with Lammas colored ribbons. As you do so, give thanks for the gifts of harvest. Place your grain mother on your altar or at the center of celebration. As Samhain, return the grain stalks to the earth. They contain the seeds of future harvests. You can also bake bread. I do have a recipe that I found online for it. I will go through it, and then if anyone is interested in it, I will post it in the description box. So ingredients, we have 1 cup of warm water, a packet of active dry yeast, 2.5 to 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons of high-quality olive oil, 2 teaspoons of sugar, a half a tablespoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of ground black pepper. Assorted dry ground herbs. You can use oregano, basil, and rosemary, or you can also sub Italian seasoning. Optional. Fresh herbs to decorate, and 1 tablespoon of egg whites. Step 1. Mix warm water with yeast and sugar. Stir thoroughly. Allow the yeast to activate by leaving it to bubble about 10 minutes. In a separate bowl, combine flour, salt, the dry herbs, black pepper, and garlic powder. Step 3. Add olive oil to wet ingredients. Slowly add dry ingredients to wet until mixture is no longer sticky. Knead the dough until it stretches. Cover the bread with a clean towel. Leave it in a sunny window and allow it to rise until it doubles in size, which will probably take about an hour. Next, preheat the oven to 450 degrees. Form dough into 5 separate balls about 4 inches in diameter. Step 6. Bake 10 to 15 minutes. While bread is baking, bring a small pot of water to boil. Finally, fill another bowl with ice water. Dip fresh herbs in boiling water for 5 to 10 seconds. Then dip them in ice water. Lay them flat on paper towels and put more paper towels on top. Press with a heavy skillet. About 3 minutes before the bread is fully cooked, just beginning to brown but still looks raw, pull them out of the oven. Brush the tops with egg whites. Working carefully, arrange blanched herbs on top of the egg whites on the bread. Then brush more egg whites on top to seal them in. So pop the bread back in and let them finish browning. You're done. You can also collect the seeds of future harvests. Involve children if you can. Collect and dry them in the sun, ready for next year's planting. Consider giving them as gifts at Samhain or Yule. Seeds are such amazing and mysterious things. Each tiny seed contains within it the blueprints for the whole plant it will become. It will mirror its mother plant, the mother that raises seed, and return to the earth with the help of the light of the sun. It's a miracle every time. So ending this video, I have a couple of simple ideas you can take that don't really require that much to do. You can just simply take a walk. I like to take a walk at the different during the different seasons around the Sabbath and collect things for my altar. You can light a candle, have a brew, because of the harvest grains. You can also have a homegrown dinner. With that being said, also you could have a bonfire. With that being said, I hope that this gave y'all some ideas on what to do for Llamas, which is coming up in just a very few days. So until next time, blessed be. Also, if you find this video informative, please give me a like, and if you have any questions, comment down below, and if you want to see more videos, hit that bell and subscribe.